So I just want to look at a little technique that I want you to do for each virtual instrument, for each sampler in your projects. So I asked you the other day, the last sesh, I asked you to do a bounce in place for every single sampler track. So I'm just going to quickly go through what that means, just on the off chance that there's a couple of people in the class who might not know about this. I know quite a few of you do know how to do this, but just in case. So basically what I want is, because there's a lot of you, more than usual, and one issue I have every year is I load your Logic projects and some of the samplers don't load, and it's not really that people did anything wrong usually. It's just kind of mismatches between systems, mismatches between the studio machine or the lab machine and my laptop, and it just gets a bit messy. It's a kind of an imperfect science, this whole sampling thing, and normally when we're building these mock-ups, we're just kind of working on our own machines, or a composer will be working on their machine, so it wouldn't actually be so much of an issue. But for correcting purposes, just to get through them quickly, I'm going to ask you to do this. So here we have it. Here is this. I've got a couple of virtual instruments here. So I've got a harpsichord. So what I want you to do is just bounce that in place. So bouncing in place creates an audio file render of it, and then once you've made the render, you can just mute it and then continue working with your projects. It's either you can do it all at the end, or you can do it as you go. Probably at the end's better after you've finished all your editing and everything. So to do that, you simply right click and then you go bounce in place. So it's simple as that. So you can either go if you don't have a right click, or your right click's not working, and hold the control key on a Mac and click, like left click, and the same menu will come up. So you see this menu comes up, and the first thing you see is bounce in place. Now you simply click on that and it'll give you this little file here. You want to turn normalization off, because normalizing will just make it like very loud, much louder. It gives you kind of the maximum volume before clipping basically, but of course if you've got a bunch of tracks, that's not a great idea because they'll all add up and overload. But so try to remember to turn off normalize. I do tend to include audio file in tail, because just in case there's a bit of reverb at the end or something. And then you want to leave the source. You don't want to delete the source. That's a bad idea. It's not the default anyway. The default is to leave the source, and then it usually mutes the track, and then you have to unmute it, but I wouldn't worry about that. It's easy enough to figure out. And then you can see it creates this little thing. It gives you the same Tobacco Lute Song, which was the name of that thing, and this is BIP for bounce in place. So it basically renders an audio file of that. You can see it kind of spins through the MIDI file there from top to tail, and now it's made this thing. So I didn't mute it that time, so I'll just mute that, and then you can solo this. You can hear that it's pretty much the same. It is exactly the same actually. And it is stereo, yes. So no difference at all. Bounce in place. Do that for every track in the project, please, and then just leave them muted. So just get the bips and mute them. You can kind of squish them down if you want them out of the way. You could even hide them if you want. Actually, don't hide them now. Just leave them where they are. So here's a little choir up here. Okay, so that actually, we were talking the other day about things that don't sound great, but then you put them in the mix and they sound pretty good. And that's an example. It just adds a bit of texture. I don't have it up very loud. on its own it sounds brutal. This is like a really terrible MIDI choir, but of course in the whole texture you can kind of hear it when it's missing. It actually it does add something.
Tobacco, tobacco, sing sweetly for tobacco, tobacco.
So I turned it way up there, but if you keep it down in the bottom there, it just adds a bit of a layer, a little bit of vocal support there. So then once again, bounce in place. It goes whatever that's called, TO. Don't know why it's called TO. Once again, new track, leave the source. Once you've done those settings, like turn the normalize off, stuff like that, they'll stay the same for every bounce in place. So you only really have to set those up once, and then the whole thing kind of just, it's like a production line basically. Zip, that one was very fast. So it goes pretty quickly. And then once again, no difference.
Tobacco is like love.
That one takes a little longer because it has more notes. So the more busy it is, the more stuff going on, the longer it takes. But it still doesn't take very long. I mean, we're kind of blessed these days with our Mac M series processors. They're just unbelievably good.
It's like love, love it.
So that's my fake Renaissance group with fake singers. The singers are AI generated singers, and there was quite a bit of programming with those cats. But yeah, so that's just showing you that technique of bounce in place. So I bounced in place like 3 files there, and then just leave them on mute. So I'll just turn them into mute, and then now you can just hear the midis. So that's it. We'll just conclude on that. That's pretty much all I need you to do. I'm going to get around to modifying the assessment brief, but if I don't, I should do, but if I don't, then definitely do bounce them in place. I need you to. Thanks very much. Cheers, everybody.
Tobacco.